How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about scary GoPro footage. From a surprise volcanic eruption to a dramatic plane crash played out on camera. Join us as we take a look at 8 pieces of terrifying GoPro footage you need to see.
On September 27, 2014, at around midday, Mount Ontake suddenly erupted, taking hundreds of hikers by surprise. Mount Ontake is a volcano located on the island of Honshu, Japan, around 100 kilometers northeast of Nagoya. It's a popular tourist spot with dozens of scenic hiking trails crisscrossing the mountain. In the footage, we see several hikers ascending a steep ridge. In the distance, you can see a gigantic plume of volcanic ash rising into the air. It gradually gets larger and larger as it takes over the blue skyline. The hikers' initial reaction seems to be one of awe as they process what exactly they're witnessing. Then, as the cloud of hot ash descends upon them, panic sets in. They begin to scramble down the slate-covered mountain before becoming consumed by smoke and debris. According to reports, there was no significant seismic activity to warn the hikers. Experts believe the eruption to be hydrovolcanic, a process by which underground water is superheated, rapidly turning into steam, ejecting gas and ash high into the air. This scary footage caught on GoPro was taken by French hikers walking through Lake Waikaremoana National Park in New Zealand in September 2015. In the footage, we see the 4 tourists crossing the thin Hoporani Bridge in Hawke's Bay. As they approach the middle of the wire crossing, it suddenly kinks, throwing the hikers into the river below. They thrash and tumble in the murky water before swimming to shore. Luckily, all 4 hikers survived the incident with only minor injuries. An investigation into the incident confirmed that the bridge was designed to carry up to 10 people. However, it gave way under the weight of just 4 adults. The Department of Conservation Operations Manager Mike Slater said the bridge gave way after a release of one of the cables. He assured the public that the occurrence was extremely rare. It's not known whether the hikers received compensation for their extreme close call. In mid-2013, fishermen caught some scary GoPro footage while trailing bait behind their sports fishing boat in Maryland, United States. During the clip, we see half a dozen fishing lines rigged with bait trailing in the briny waters. In the distance, you can just make out the snout of a shark. It holds for a moment before explosively attacking the baited lines. The shark snatches the fish and retreats into the gloomy backdrop. One by one, it viciously bites the fish until they're all gone. Experts identified the shark as a mako. These ancient hunters are on record as the fastest swimming sharks in the world. They can gain 18.8 meters in just 1 second. The females of the species are the largest and can weigh over 600 kilos, which is around 1,300 pounds, with a length of 3.8 meters or around 12 feet. There were reports in 1881 in Italy of a mako shark that weighed 1,000 kilos, which is more than 2,200 pounds. Looking at this footage, it's terrifying to see how easily one of these creatures could hunt down a hapless swimmer or diver. Sticking with sharks for a moment, this GoPro photo was submitted to a thread on Reddit. It shows the terrifying moment a shark swam by a surfer's foot. Allegedly, the person who took this footage had spent the day surfing and didn't know what had happened until they reviewed their footage for the day. There in the photo is the chilling outline of a shark trailing through the water. It's barely a meter away from their legs. This terrifying moment, caught on GoPro, occurred on August 2014 in a rural area of Fernie, BC, Canada. In the clip, we see a mountain biker's chilling encounter with a mountain lion. At first, it's hard to spot the beast as it blends almost perfectly into the grassy terrain. The giant cat stalks the biker, slowly circling him, most likely sizing him up. Experts advise that if you encounter a mountain lion in the wilderness, it's best to face them and remain still. Some suggest that intense eye contact and loud shouting may convince the cougar to retreat. If you were to run, you might trigger their instinct to chase prey. However, mountain lions have prey recognition that they learn as cubs, so humans are not often attacked because they aren't part of the prey hierarchy. It's only if they feel threatened or they're injured or starving that they might attack. In the video, the biker does well to stay remarkably calm. He does exactly as experts suggest, keeping eye contact, staying front on, and waiting till the cougar loses interest. dramatic footage caught on a GoPro was released to the public in late 2014. Ferdinand Puentes captured the chilling moment this plane crash landed into the ocean. Moments after the Hawaiian flight departed the island of Molokai, the Cessna Grand Caravan experienced engine failure. One witness said it sounded like a loud bang before the plane began to descend towards the water. In the video, we see Puentes looking out the window of the plane with his GoPro. You can see the ocean fast approaching as the plane crashes into the water. The passengers remain eerily calm as water begins to rush into the cabin, everyone scrambling to put their life vests on. Moments later, after exiting the craft, you can see the passengers clinging to the wing of the plane. The pilot, cut and bleeding, orders the floating survivors to move away from the sinking plane. 7 of the 8 passengers on board survived, while State Health Director Loretta Fuddy sadly passed away prior to rescue. The crash made controversial headlines because Fuddy was the state official who verified and approved the release of former President Barack Obama's birth certificate. Some conspiracy theorists and even Donald Trump alluded that the crash was suspicious. It was later revealed that Fuddy died of congestive heart failure triggered by the accident. Check out this terrifying moment caught on GoPro in South Dakota. In the footage, we see several bikers exploring the Bulldog Trail in Black Hills. As the rider in front passes over a small gate in the fence, he notices a rattlesnake coiled up on the side of the path. He calls to his friends, alerting them of the snake. You'd think riding past an aggressive rattlesnake would be scary enough, but the cameraman decides to up the ante and provoke the deadly creature. He slides the GoPro up to the snake, it rattles its tail, warning of an impending strike. It coils, then launches at the camera lightning fast, leaving behind what looks like venom on the lens. Rattlesnakes are found throughout America and have some of the most toxic venom of all snakes in the Western Hemisphere. A bite from one of these deadly creatures can cause blood clots and necrosis of the skin, leading to convulsions, paralysis, and ultimately heart failure. Death can occur 6 to 48 hours after a bite. Let's just say it's not wise to aggravate a rattlesnake. One viewer noted that provoking the snake like that would leave it agitated and volatile for the next passing hiker, which is kind of a dick move. The rider decides to shove the camera in the snake's face not once but twice before continuing on his merry way. Now, if you thought the last rattlesnake encounter was terrifying enough, wait till you see this footage. Taken in rural Montana, US, 2 hikers stumble upon a pit of rattlesnakes and decide to film it with their GoPro. In the footage, we see the camera hover above what looks to be at least 20 or more rattlesnakes, all writhing over each other. You can hear the hum of their rattles as they warn the intruders to keep their distance. One snake becomes curious enough to investigate the camera. It stares into the lens, tongue flicking before striking the GoPro. Experts say that a rattlesnake can bite a victim at speeds of up to 1/10 of a second, leaving any animal within striking distance no chance of escape. Watching this footage, it's easy to see the frightening speed at which they can attack. Finally, one of the snakes lunges at the camera, knocking it into the pit. It sits there among the exacerbated hum of the threatened animals. In the background, you can hear the cameraman moan that he's lost his camera. Eventually, he manages to retrieve it with the handle end of a hockey stick, getting far closer to the writhing pit of snakes than most sensible people should. Apparently, this footage was taken using a handheld gimbal similar to a selfie stick, which was then taped to the end of a hockey stick. So really, at most, this makeshift device put the cameraman just meters away from these deadly creatures.
Well, that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that big old red subscribe button, click that bell icon next to it and turn on channel notifications. That way you'll see all the latest updates from our channel. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew!
Slaptam.
10 near-death moments caught on tape. From a plane that nearly lands on top of a sunbather to a photographer almost eaten by a crocodile. Join us as we take a look at 10 near-death moments caught on tape. This amazing footage from a security camera in Southeast Asia shows a woman working at a roadside shop. As a car arrives to place an order, watch what happens as the woman takes the food to the car. group of curious onlookers on hand to film a condemned building being destroyed. They think they're at a safe distance away from the destruction, but watch what happens next. This footage captures the moment an oblivious woman tries to walk right across a competition ski slope. This hair-raising footage captured on a German beach shows a plane attempting to touch down. The pilot later admitted he may have misjudged the landing. A security camera at a train station in New South Wales, Australia managed to catch this unbelievable footage. A woman jumps onto a moving train as her friend looks on in disbelief. The friend, not knowing if she made the jump safely or not, has to wait nervously for the train to pass. The seemingly lifeless woman eventually begins to move and makes her way back onto the platform. This footage taken by a train spotter shows a fellow enthusiast so focused on the train he's filming that he forgets to look the other way. This clip taken in Costa Rica shows a man photographing crocodiles from the shore of a river as his friends bait the animals closer, throwing food into the water. The patient manhunters bide their time, waiting for the right moment to strike. This extraordinary footage was taken from a dashboard camera. What it captures is simply unbelievable. CCTV in the Czech Republic captures this extremely close call as a pensioner makes his way through a level crossing. If you look closely, the train gets so close that the guy's shoe flies off. And what's the deal with the person driving the car? They just sit and watch as an old dude nearly gets cleaned up by a train. Then, when the boom gate opens, they just start to drive around him. This footage of a plane load of skydivers is truly amazing. As they prepare to jump, the unthinkable happens. Somehow, the pilot manages to escape the flaming wreck and deploy his parachute. Unbelievably, all 9 skydivers and the pilot make it to the ground safely. They wait nervously as the pilot of the first plane attempts to land his damaged aircraft. Astonishingly, all 11 manage to survive this horrendous mid-air incident that could have easily ended in disaster. Whew, them some close calls. As always, thanks heaps for watching. Now if you're new to the channel, hit that big old red subscribe button because we have content just like this coming out each and every week. And this is the Slaptam signing off.
How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slaptam. Today we're talking about the most downright creepy images found on Reddit. From an eerie World War II photo of the Dresden bombings to a creepy figure that paid a visit to a Reddit user in the middle of the night. Join us as we take a look at the 10 creepiest photos found on Reddit.
Reddit user 100Jono posted this photo claiming it was captured by Google Street View somewhere in France. The photo appears to show some kind of humanoid figure with sharp eyes and a gaunt face. The monster has long hair and a strange skinny body. It looks as though its head is twisted around backwards just to look at the camera. According to Reddit comments, the pic got so much attention that Google was forced to blur the image. They say the creature is what's known as an ugly man, a kind of gargoyle statue used throughout Indonesia to deter intruders. This photo takes a little while for the creepiness to set in. It's the subtext in this image that makes the viewer uneasy. The strange unknown basement with its unsealed dirty floor, the filth-covered walls that almost look like they've been scratched at. The table and chair with a single deck of cards sitting on top evokes images of a lonely person playing solitaire. Maybe they're sad and alone, possibly held against their will. The position of the table is strange too, in the corner facing the wall. The surface of the table is worn smooth from countless hours of playing games by themselves. One can only imagine where this strange dark setting is located. Maybe on a sunny suburban street where people smile and nod, completely unaware of the ghastly chamber that lies beneath their neighbour's house. This photo was submitted to the subreddit Creepy with the title "Caught on a Redbox Security Camera." No one has been able to explain this photo. The eerie posture of the girl at the Redbox movie rental machine has left viewers dumbfounded. The angle her head is at almost defies a normal range of motion, and her sinister looking eyes don't help the situation either. If anyone knows more about this photo, please let us know in the comments below. This intense photo is often associated with the creepypasta The Russian Sleep Experiment, a short story about a depraved experiment that left 5 political prisoners deranged and mutilated. The story goes that in the late 1940s, Russian researchers kept 5 political prisoners awake for 15 days using experimental gas. They were kept in a large chamber with beds, books, running water and enough canned food to last 30 days. Microphones were placed in the room and a 5-inch thick glass porthole was used by the researchers to monitor the subjects. Everything went well for the first 5 days, but soon the subjects began discussing traumatic experiences in their past. They became increasingly paranoid and soon started whispering into the microphones, bargaining their freedom with the researchers. After 9 days, one captive started screaming non-stop, running the length of the chamber for 3 hours. He screamed so much that he tore his vocal cords and could only produce faint squeaks. The other captives didn't react to the screaming. They kept on whispering into the microphones until one of them began tearing pages from a book, spitting on them and then plastering them all over the windows. Then, all sounds from the room immediately stopped. The researchers had no way of knowing what was happening inside the room. Several days passed when the researchers finally decided to open the chamber. Inside, they found one prisoner dead, badly mutilated. 4 inches of water and blood covered the floor. The other prisoners had large pieces of flesh scratched out, along with their vital organs splayed on the ground beside their bodies. The surviving prisoners all begged for the gas to be turned back on, claiming that they no longer wanted to be freed. Pleasant. In truth, this figure is actually known as Spasm. A product manufacturer called Morbid Enterprises created the prop for the 2005 Halloween season. You can find videos online of people unboxing and reviewing the figurine. So thankfully it has nothing to do with murderous, sleep-deprived maniacs. Reddit user Stanzy13 was looking after their parents' cabin deep in the woods. They were home alone and there wasn't another person around for miles, or so they thought. When they woke up in the morning, they found these tracks in the snow. Clearly someone had walked up to the window and looked in during the night. How long the person lingered at the window is unknown, but they eventually wandered off down the side of the house. There was no sign of attempted burglary anywhere around the house, so that means whoever made these prints just stared into the window in the middle of the night and simply walked off. Between the 13th and 15th of February 1945, British and American forces dropped 3,900 tons of explosives onto the city of Dresden, Germany. The carnage decimated the city to ruin, leaving only a stark skeleton of a city behind. This black and white image highlights a mere portion of the destruction caused during World War II. An ominous statue presides over the devastation. The spiny shells of the buildings and homes below create an eerie set for a town stripped of human life. An estimated 25,000 people were killed during the raids on Dresden. This is a historical black and white photograph dating back to 1925. They say the little girl in the photo was visiting her twin sister's grave, who tragically died in a house fire. Bizarrely, in the pond's reflection is a second little girl. Many analysts have tried to debunk this photo but claim the picture hasn't been tampered with in any way. Could this really be the reflection of the little girl's twin sister? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. This is simply known as nightmare.gif. Let's just sit back and let the creepiness sink in, shall we? The origins of this photo are uncertain, but some believe it to be cursed. Some say this is a still from a Chinese horror movie. It's alleged that several of the cast and crew died mysteriously while making the film. When authorities investigated the incident, all those who died had unedited previews of certain scenes from the movie on their phones. This still was on every single phone. It's thought that all who come in contact with this photo will disappear or die. If our YouTube channel inexplicably stops uploading, then you all know why. In 2017, Reddit user Fat and Depressed submitted this terrifying image. The user said they awoke in the middle of the night to a notification on their phone. Tired and confused, they checked the message to see what it was. It was an alert from their smart home saying, "Your doorbell detected a visitor." At first, the security feed didn't show anything and they thought perhaps a dog or cat had triggered the sensor. Then, after several more notifications, they woke up to find this chilling screen capture. The figure in the picture looks like an apparition of sorts. It's either folding its arms behind its back or it doesn't have arms at all. It doesn't seem to have legs either, it's just sort of hovering in mid-air. The face looks like a mask with painted black eyes. In the morning, the user checked the notifications and the security system detected movement every few hours, from 10:30 PM to 4 AM. For nearly 6 hours, this strange figure triggered the security system, over and over again, staring ominously into the camera.
Whoa, easy with that clicking finger. Before you head off and watch something else, I just want to let you know our friends over at Planet Dolan have gone and released themselves a video game. It's amazing, it's completely free. It was trending number 2 on the arcade list on Google Play. It's available on iOS as well. There's a link in the description box below. As I said, it's completely free. If you like the game, give them a 5-star review and tell them Slapped Ham sent ya. Well, there's another episode in the can. Thank you so much for watching. Now remember to follow us on all our other socials. The addresses are right there. While you're at it, remember to share this video around with your friends and family. It helps us out immensely. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew!
Slapped Ham.
10 eerie photos that'll send shivers down your spine. From a photo of a mysterious blood-red river in the heart of China to a picture of a baby in a cage hanging out a window, we take a peek at 10 eerie photos that'll send shivers down your spine. When a photographer decided to take this pic of a wedding ceremony from a nearby rooftop, he didn't realise he'd captured something far more sinister. In the building behind, 12 eerie hooded figures can clearly be seen lined up along the first floor balcony. When the photo was released, internet speculation ran rife as to the identity of the mysterious figures and what it was they were doing there. Were they secretly overseeing the wedding, or did the photographer unknowingly capture some sort of bizarre ritual? Turns out the figures were actually part of an art exhibition by Dawn Dudot entitled The Goddess Fortuna and Her Dunces. So not so sinister as first thought, but still makes for a very eerie photo. In July 2014, villagers in Qinmeichu village in Zhejiang, China, awoke to discover the river that runs through the town had turned blood red. Some thought it may be a spiritual sign, perhaps signalling the end of the world, while others believed the eerie colouring was the result of illegal dumping by a food colouring factory upstream. The actual cause of the blood red river was never confirmed. This heartbreaking photo shows the graves of a Protestant man and his Catholic wife. Colonel J.W.C. Van Gorkum married Lady J.C.P.H. Van Afferdin in 1842, and the couple went on to spend 38 years together. When the colonel passed away in 1880, he was buried in the Protestant area of the cemetery. His wife lived for 8 more years and decided before her passing, rather than being buried in her family's plot, she would prefer her final resting place to be as close to her husband as possible. Because she was Catholic, the closest place she could be buried was against the wall that divides the two religions. Their headstones were built tall enough to allow the couple to hold hands eternally. London mums of the 1930s had a novel way of creating additional space in their city apartments, allowing their precious little bub to get some fresh air. This photo is of a baby cage, a short-lived invention that was essentially a wire fence that was attached to an open window, dangling precariously several stories above the busy streets below. This photo, taken at dusk on a sheep station in Western Australia, shows hundreds of sheep approaching the fence for their nightly feed. The flash is reflected in the eyes of the zombie-like animals, creating this strangely unnerving image. In 2010, the town of Sindh, Pakistan received more than 10 years of rain in 1 week, causing widespread flooding of the surrounding farmland. As a result, millions of spiders ascended into the few trees high enough to avoid the rising waters. There are so many spiders in the trees that their combined webs make the trees themselves look like cotton candy. The person who captured this image was UK aid worker Russell Watkins, who noted that if you stood under one of these trees, dozens of small, very, very tiny little spiders would be dropping down onto your head. This photo of a creepy big-mouthed clown posing with a small girl is unsettling to say the least. The origin of the pic is uncertain, but one thing is for sure, that the little girl is trying her best not to look understandably terrified. This unsettling photo, supposedly of a goat man, was taken by Mark Hunter while walking in the forest behind his house. Hunter, who captured the freaky image on a GoPro, said, "I was about to take aim, but he sort of batted at me, and then he stood up and it was a stark naked man with a long neck and a goat head." Hunter said he thought the creature may have just been a man wearing a severed goat's head as a mask, but after reviewing the footage was convinced what he saw was real. This otherworldly image was captured from the viewing platform on the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, UAE. The Burj Khalifa stands a staggering 829.8 meters tall, which is around 2,722 feet from the ground to the tip, and is so tall that it's possible to take a photo looking down at the surrounding rooftops as they pierce the thick cloud cover. The sheer height of the Burj Khalifa creates this eerie illusion that a city in the clouds is sprawled right out in front of your eyes. This horrifying image is the last thing you want to see aboard a plane, either taking off or landing. A mid-air collision between a flock of birds and a plane is what's commonly known in the aviation industry as a bird strike, and it is a relatively frequent occurrence. Luckily, very few bird strikes end in disaster, except for the birds, that is, who are often squashed against the side of the plane or sucked into the engines. Fascinating, fascinating! As always, thanks heaps for watching. If you're enjoying this sort of content, hit that thumbs up button. Let's try and get this video to 1,000 likes. Let us know in the comments section below which photo was your favourite. And this is the Slap Time shining off.
How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about creepy photos. From an alleged shadow demon that stalks the halls of a hospital to the spirit of an old lady caught standing in a window. Join us as we take a look at 10 real creepy photos that'll give you chills. And before we get into it, make sure you stick around to the end because we're announcing some huge giveaways for the month of December.
This unsettling photograph was posted to a ghost investigation forum by a user named Gdorf2. It's a photo of his great-grandparents. The user didn't say anything else about the photo other than to check out the creepy disembodied face hovering between his great-grandparents. Given the age of the photograph, it's possible that it's just an effect caused by exposure in the old camera. The strange thing is, the ghostly face is more in focus than the rest of the family. It has a strange shadow quality to it, while the rest of the faces are white and overexposed. This photo was posted to social media a few years ago. The user said that her mum took the photo of her uncle lying on a grave but didn't notice anything strange at the time. Her mum and uncle had been out drinking at a local bar when they decided to walk through the cemetery. The uncle decided to lie down on the grave and get the photo taken. When they reviewed the photo the next day, they were dumbfounded at what they saw. There, just above the uncle, is a white presence of some kind. It looks as though it's leaning over the man. Allegedly, the tombstone dates back to the American Revolution. What do you think that is? Is it just a camera malfunction, or has the photo captured something far more mysterious? This haunting photo was taken in London in 1925. Although these figures look creepily real, they're actually just melted wax mannequins removed from a fire that ripped through Madame Tussauds wax museum. Witnesses were terrified at what they saw. Some even reported that the wax statues were still fizzing from the intense heat of the fire. This photo was allegedly taken in an abandoned church. It shows the words dare you, double dare you hastily scrawled on the wall. The arrows appear to be pointing into an old ventilation duct or possibly a gap in the wall that leads to another room. Either way, it's just a touch bit frightening. Some users have noted that it's the same phrasing that features in one of the Silent Hill movies, so there's a good chance that this is just the work of copycat pranksters. However, knowing that little tidbit of information still doesn't comfort me. How much money would you need to be paid to crawl into that creepy little room? Let us know in the comments section below. This photo was taken on a smartphone by a construction company in Tremont, Illinois. They were hired by the new owners of the home to renovate the roof before they moved in. The workers claim no one was in the house over the 2 days they worked on site, and there was definitely no one standing in the window when the photo was taken. When the workers asked about the house, the owner said they had just bought it as the previous owner was an old lady who died alone in the house. Has this photo been staged, or have they caught the spirit of the former owner standing in the window? This creepy photo has been doing the social media rounds since around 2014. It's hard to verify the source of the image as it's been shared so many times it's become somewhat of a creepypasta. The most common story attached to this photo is that a nurse in a hospital took a screenshot of a security camera that was monitoring patients in a ward. She claims that she saw a demon-like figure walking up and down one particular patient's bed. It had long black legs and eerie slender fingers. When she went to the ward to check on the patient, there was no figure in the room. However, the patient's vitals began declining rapidly and the person passed away shortly after. Folklore often tells of strange sightings in hospitals, dark figures lurking in the periphery, perhaps waiting to take the souls of the recently deceased. When the photo went viral across social media, debunkers got to work analysing the image. As the quality of the original photo is low, it's hard to break the image down. One commentator thought that it's merely a series of objects compiled together on a strange angle that gives the effect of a lurking creature, while others believe the image to be genuine, saying that this could actually be evidence of a demon collecting the souls of the sick and frail. This real shocking photo was taken in an unknown asylum around 1890. It depicts a female patient strung up in a crucifix position facing a brick wall. This abhorrent act was genuinely considered treatment for various psychotic disorders towards the end of the 19th century. Patients would be left in this position for hours on end until they were deemed calm enough to return to their quarters. Similar measures were later adapted by the British military as a means of intense interrogation. Prolonged standing was one of 5 notorious and illegal methods used by the army to extract information. The others were hooding, subjection to noise, deprivation of sleep, and restriction of food and drink. Yet in the 1800s, some of these shocking methods were used by medical professionals to treat the mentally ill. Unfortunately, there's next to no information available about this photo. It was taken sometime in the early 1990s, some say on a youth camping trip. In this photo, we see 5 people going for a walk in a field. A second photo taken in the same field shows 4 people from a different angle. This time, there's a strange figure in the middle wearing what looks to be a long black robe with a hood. It looks as though the figure is slightly levitating off the ground. The photo has been shared thousands of times around the internet, but no one knows the source or has any more information about the people in the photo. A lot of viewers have been quick to call the black hooded figure the Grim Reaper, possibly keeping an eye on one of the young men. Skeptics have noted that it could quite easily have been staged, with the before and after photos taken from different angles. With such little information available, it's hard to make further comment on this photo. We added it to this list, however, as there is an undeniable eeriness to the blackened figure standing among the young men. The Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky is said to be one of the most haunted buildings in the United States. Built in 1910, the hospital was used to house patients suffering from tuberculosis during what was considered an outbreak of the White Plague. At the time, there was no known cure for the disease, which was mostly treated with plenty of fresh air and sunshine. However, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium was also tasked with finding more effective measures to fight the infectious disease. Controversial methods were tested, with some patients having their ribs removed and their lungs inflated with makeshift balloons. It's thought that many thousands of patients died at the sanatorium. The death toll grew so high that the facility was forced to build an underground tunnel, affectionately known as the Death Chute, that would be used to ferry hundreds of diseased corpses to a nearby railway station. Visitors today often report the echoed calls of children singing down the long abandoned hallways. Cold spots are often experienced, and an ominous feeling of being watched is ever present. This photo was taken inside the Waverly Hills facility. To the right, you can see what appears to be a human figure staring at the camera. In one of the derelict rooms, an old photograph was discovered of a young girl. On the back it read, "Love, Mary Lee." Many believe that this is the spirit of Mary Lee captured on film. Historians claim that Mary Lee was a nurse at the sanatorium that contracted tuberculosis. It's rumoured that, after discovering that she was illegitimately pregnant by one of the doctors at the hospital, she hung herself in room 502. Many paranormal investigators believe that this is the spirit of Mary Lee, forced to wander the halls of this old hospital, looking for a cure for her terrible fate. This chilling photo was uploaded to Reddit in 2013. The user said he found it inexplicably in a drawer in his grandma's house. No one in the family could explain it or identify the woman in the photo. What makes this far worse is what the poster said happened the night before discovering this creepy photo. He said he was staying at his grandmother's house, which the family hadn't visited in many years. During the first night there, he woke up at around 3 AM to a creaking door sound. He assumed it was his sister, but realised the door to the room was closed. When he opened his eyes to have a look, he said he saw the partial figure of a girl float towards his bed. She was pale and translucent and hard to focus on. His breathing became tight and restricted as the figure eerily hovered towards an old cabinet in the corner of the room. The strange presence vanished and he ran out of the room immediately. The following day, he told his mum and grandma about the encounter. They said they didn't know what it could be, but maybe he should ask his uncle about the incident. Later that afternoon, while looking for a pen, the Reddit user opened a drawer and discovered this photo. His heart nearly stopped right then and there, as the photo had a similar energy to the figure that had visited him the night before. On the back of the photo was the single word "look" scrawled in pen. When he asked his uncle about the photo and the incident, his uncle believed him immediately, saying that he had had all kinds of strange encounters in the house. Once he had workmen renovating the house leave in a hurry, saying they couldn't work in the building anymore after some kind of strange incident. Then another time he found inexplicable shattered glass in his garage, along with a single shackle found in the attic that he said mysteriously vanished. No one in the family can explain this photo or where it came from, and they have absolutely no idea who the woman in the photograph might be.
Whoa, before you get busy with that clicking finger and get on out of here, we've got a huge announcement. All December long in the lead up to Christmas, we're doing some huge giveaways. Each and every week we're going to be giving away t-shirts, hoodies and gift cards. And today's awesome giveaway is a Slapped Ham t-shirt. To enter, all you have to do is head on over to our website and there's heaps of awesome ways to enter. You can comment on a video, subscribe to our channel, share it with a friend. The more times you enter, the better the chance you have of winning. For full terms and conditions and instructions on how to enter, head on over to our website. The link's in the description box below. Also, I highly recommend turning on channel notifications so you get updates on all the awesome giveaways we're doing all December long. Well, there's another episode down. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to smash that upward facing thumb if you're enjoying the content. Also, remember to turn on channel notifications so you don't miss any of our content. And that's it from me. I'll see you all next time. Pew!
Slap time.
10 ghostly photos you've never seen. From creepy little girls with teddy bears to ominous 9-foot tall apparitions, we take a cautious peep at 10 ghostly photos you've never seen. The White Lady of Worstead Church. In 1975, Peter Berthelot took this photo of his wife Diane on a trip to Worstead Church in Norfolk, UK. The couple didn't notice the mysterious figure sitting behind Diane until a friend pointed it out after flipping through some photos some months later. The following year, the couple returned to Worstead Church where they showed the photo to Reverend Pettit, the church vicar. Reverend Pettit immediately recognised the apparition as the White Lady, a ghostly resident of the church who had been in the area for more than 100 years. Phantom of the Philippines. Little is known about this photo taken in Manila, Philippines. The two girls pictured claim that no one was around at the time the photo was taken and that it is not double exposure. Many skeptics argue the validity of this picture, while others believe it to be evidence that proves the existence of the spirit world. Ghostly girl in burning building. On the 19th of November 1995, Tony O'Reilly captured this photo of the Wentown Hall in Shropshire burning to the ground. O'Reilly snapped the pic using a 200mm telephoto lens while standing on the other side of the street. Some locals claim that the little girl seen in the image is the ghost of Jane Churm, a young girl who, in 1677, accidentally set fire to a thatched roof, causing many of the town's old timber houses to burn down. The Grey Lady of Hampton Court. This ghastly image was captured by Holly Hampshire on a trip to Hampton Court Palace, Surrey, UK. 12-year-old Hampshire took a succession of photos of her cousin Brooke McGee and didn't think anything of them until she reviewed the snaps the following day. Some believe the figure Hampshire captured in one photo to be that of Dame Sybil Penn, a servant at Hampton Court, who died of smallpox in 1562. Sightings of the shadowy dame began in 1829 after her tomb was moved due to renovations. Shortly after, strange sounds of someone working a spinning wheel could be heard late at night. This led to a search of the palace, where a secret chamber was discovered that housed a mysterious antique spinning wheel. The Ghosts of SS Waterdown. In 1924, Captain Keith Tracy of the SS Waterdown captured this eerie photo after his crewmen reported seeing the ghostly faces of two recently deceased sailors in the waves near the ship. Crew members Michael Meehan and James Courtney were said to have been overcome by fumes and died while cleaning an oil tank some days earlier. The pair were then buried at sea, which was customary at the time. The following day, just as evening was approaching, the first mate of the ship reported seeing the faces of the deceased sailors in the waves off the port side of the ship. After returning ashore, Captain Tracy bought a camera, and next time at sea he is said to have captured this unsettling photo. The Haunted Bureau. This creepy photograph of a Queen Anne-style bureau was taken in the early 20th century. At first glance, everything appears to be normal until you notice the ghostly hand near the top of the image. The furniture dealer Montague Cooper was at a loss to explain this image. Ghostly girl with teddy bear. The young girl in this picture is Anastasia Peretz. Many years after this photo was taken, Peretz was looking through one of her old photo albums when she came across this image and noticed something very unsettling. The ghostly girl with a teddy bear opening the bedroom door behind her to get a closer look. Spectre of Newby Church. Taken in 1963 by Reverend K.F. Lord at Newby Church in North Yorkshire, this unsettling image seemingly captures an ominous 9-foot tall hooded spectre. Some have proposed that the image may be of a 16th century monk with a white shroud over his face to hide a bad case of leprosy or some other disfigurement. Many photographic experts have studied this ghostly photo only to conclude that it's not a result of double exposure. Just take a close look at the way the figure's black cloak drapes perfectly over the altar stairs. Ghostly photobomb. In 2014, two young UK women took a Halloween selfie which later revealed a terrifying photobomber. After uploading this photo to Snapchat, Kaylee Atkinson rang her friend Victoria Greaves and told her to take a closer look at the photo they'd taken earlier that evening. The picture scared one of the girls so much that she immediately deleted the image from her phone. The two girls claimed there was no one else in the bar at the time this photograph was taken. The Pink Lady of Greencastle. This photo taken by Guy Winters at the O'Hare Mansion in Greencastle, Indiana, appears to show the ghostly apparition of a lady looking out from one of the upstairs windows. Winters, a paranormal photographer, went to investigate after reports of paranormal activity in the abandoned house. Winter claims that the figure's image could not be seen in the window at the time the photo was taken, and only appeared once the photo was developed. An analysis of the film's negative also revealed the ghostly vision. Oh my god, someone send me trousers for I have soiled them out of terror. As always, thanks heaps for watching. Remember to give this video a thumbs up because it lets us know you're enjoying the content. Subscribe if you haven't already because we have new stuff coming out every Thursday, 3 PM Pacific Standard Time. And this is the Slap Time Shiny Wolf.
How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about witches. From the multiple sightings of witches throughout Mexico to the blood-sucking bruja of Colombian folklore. We take a look at 9 witches caught on camera.
This footage surfaced in 2011. Filmed in Guanajuato, Mexico, a town known for its silver mining and colonial architecture, 2 men spot something terrifying. In an open field at the back of a farm, a strange creature can be seen flying through the air. The man filming yells bruja, which is the Spanish word for witch or sorceress. The unknown creature glides through the air effortlessly and at one point begins chasing one of the men through the field. Practitioners of black magic and members of the occult have long been reported in rural areas of Mexico. Could this video be proof of witchcraft? This footage began circulating in mid-2017. Filmed in Mexico City, it shows a shadowy humanoid figure flying through the sky. The footage was captured on a phone camera by school children during their soccer training. At first, several of the kids laugh nervously as they don't know how to identify the flying figure. Then someone in the crowd screams. There are as many as a dozen witnesses who dub the creature a witch, including a gobsmacked teacher who watches on with his students. This footage was captured in the 1970s by German journalist Ralph Olsen, who travelled to Africa. As he travelled through rural villages, he got word of a powerful shaman that lived in the nearby hills. He visited the shaman's campsite and captured this stunning footage. First, the shaman performs a sacred ritual, creating a ring of fire. His acolytes begin chanting as he slowly lifts off the ground, holds for a moment in mid-air, then returns back down. He repeats this process a number of times. When Olsen returned from his trip with the footage, he was ousted from the broadcasting community as a joke, his reputation left in tatters. Decades later, he maintained that the footage was real and was in no way tampered with. What do you think? Is this shaman really levitating, or is the fire a ploy to keep people at a distance so it's harder to see what's going on? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. There's not a lot of solid information about this clip. All that's known is that the footage was captured by a security camera at Indemil, a military-grade weapons manufacturer in Colombia. One evening, the security team spotted a strange figure lurking around the government-run facility. The footage shows a hunched-over figure limp into the compound. It looks like it's wearing a black cape as it ducks in and out of the shadows. The clip spread quickly around South American social media, many claiming it to be a witch-like creature from Colombian mythology. Others simply dismissed it as a mangy dog looking for food. While this isn't footage of a witch, many have speculated that this young girl was the target of black magic or witchcraft. Several years ago, the girl seen in this clip kept waking up with bruising all over her body. She couldn't explain what was happening, so she decided to set up a camera to film her movements while she slept. What the camera captured is unsettling to say the least. You can see clearly the girl rise out of her bed, float in the air for a moment, then lower back down. When this footage was uploaded to YouTube back in 2009, it swept through social media and forums, begging the question, is it real? The video was recorded by a man in Russia walking his dog through the woods. Everything seems normal until the dog pauses for a moment as if something's wrong. It begins to bark and runs off down a trail. When the man catches up to his dog, he sees something startling. There in the forest is a girl levitating in the air as a friend watches on. Once they realise they've been spotted, the two girls run out of sight. The short, unattributed clip led many to speculate that the girls were practicing witchcraft deep in the woods. Others have simply labelled the video a hoax. Whatever the case may be, it's still a remarkable piece of footage that remains a mystery to this day. In some areas of Colombia, there are tales of a vampire witch woman that feeds on the blood of livestock and wild animals. This footage claims to be a glimpse of one such creature. Taken sometime in early 2013, this footage was captured by a hunter out with his dogs. He claims he was searching a rural property for evidence of the strange blood-sucking witch. In the clip, it's obvious that the dogs pick up the scent of an animal as they begin barking wildly. They hone in on some dense shrubs where suddenly a strange-looking creature lunges out of the dark. The dogs snap and snarl, the hunter takes a shot and brings down the beast. If you slow it down, it's clear some kind of unidentified creature launches out of the darkness, hissing at the dogs. Unfortunately, that's where the footage ends, and there's no further testimony to verify what was lurking in the bushes. Was this just a case of granular footage making it hard to see what happened, or was this La Tunda, the blood-sucking witch from Colombian folklore? Filmed in Monterrey, Mexico, this footage came to light in mid-2017. Initially, it was shared to the Facebook page of a paranormal radio show that airs in the US and Mexico. It claims to be proof of a flying witch that manifests into a magical ball of fire. The family claimed they were spending a quiet evening at home when they heard strange noises. Upon investigating with their camera, they captured this startling footage. Social media was divided when the footage went viral. Some claim it's proof of a coven of witches that have been reported to torment the area. Others say it's merely a lantern that's been set on fire lifting into the air. In the town of Monterrey, in the Mexican state of Nuevo León, reports of bruja or witches began surfacing around the city. Then, in May 2006, this striking footage was released to the public. The local media ran with the story, calling it a UFO, but in the acronym's true sense, a literal unidentified flying object. Quickly, it was dubbed the Witch of Monterrey, and the story spread like wildfire. In the footage, we clearly see a strange black humanoid figure floating across the mountain range in a straight line. Several days later, two police officers claimed they were attacked by two hooded creatures in a nearby cemetery. One of the officers said they saw the mysterious beings flying in circles above the graveyard before being attacked. The cemetery is located right under the flight path of the figure seen in this video. Many locals claim witches have haunted the area for centuries, and with the two testimonies from police officers along with this footage, one has to wonder what is going on in the city of Monterrey, Mexico.
Well, that was a little bit terrifying. That's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button right there or the red one down below. If you're a regular, leave us a comment. We love reading them. Hit that upward facing thumb as well. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew!
Slap him.
10 UFO sightings caught on camera. From a UFO caught on the BBC News to a flying object dropping glowing orbs down on Earth. Join us as we take a look at 10 UFO sightings caught on camera. On July 4th, 2016, a strange light was seen hovering in the night sky over Tucson, Arizona. You can see a large white orb that blinks on and off sporadically. At the 1:20 mark, a second object appears, then flashes brightly before disappearing. Many skeptics have noted that July 4th is a common night for firework displays, but do these look like ordinary fireworks? On the 2nd of August 2016, the Malcolm W. Martin Memorial Park Facebook page uploaded this clip. It's taken from a security camera overlooking the Mississippi River and Gateway Arch in St. Louis, USA. The footage shows a glowing ball hovering in the sky for around 5 minutes. It moves about the sky erratically, disappears, then reappears in different spots. One local tried explaining the footage as headlights from cars parking in the Mississippi River overlook. What do you think, headlights or visitors from outer space? In November 2015, numerous Californian residents saw some very strange lights in the night sky. People from Reno to Los Angeles spotted a blue light flaring across the horizon. Several different pieces of footage were uploaded, each capturing the same strange blue light. Dozens of calls flooded into 911 reporting the unidentified flying object. The following morning, the US Navy issued a statement that they had been testing a ballistic missile off the coast of California. It just seems awfully convenient for the Navy to issue a statement like that. Would they really fire missiles near a heavily populated coastline completely unannounced, terrifying hundreds of residents? Bit strange. There's very little info on this piece of footage. It's supposedly taken by a couple as they flew over Poland in a commercial airliner. What their camera captured is very unusual. It appears to be a massive floating object drifting by the aeroplane. If anyone has any information on this clip or can translate what the couple is saying, please leave a comment below. On January 8, 2005, a man captured what appears to be a fleet of UFOs hovering over an unknown part of Mexico. There are 40 to 50 glowing orbs floating in the sky. Many claim the sighting to be balloons or Chinese lanterns, but when the footage zooms in, it looks as though the objects are steering themselves around each other. This footage was taken in July 2016 during a flyover of the city of Melbourne, Australia. In the background there's a strange floating shape to the right side of the city. It's a thin structure hovering in mid-air. What do you think, hovering spacecraft or a glitch in the film? This startling footage was taken in an unknown part of the Philippines in 2014. At first it's difficult to tell what's happening as the footage only shows two glowing objects on a dark background, but you can see smaller orb-like objects falling to the ground. A night vision lens is used to clarify the image, and what it captures is very striking. It's clear that this UFO is dropping numerous balls of light down on the ground. Are there any plausible explanations for this footage? In October 2014, the BBC was reporting on pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. What they inadvertently captured on film is startling. You can see above the sea of protesters between the two buildings, a flying object moves towards the right of camera. It pauses for a moment, then flies straight up at an accelerated rate. It's very hard to explain this footage as the BBC captured it live, making it impossible for anyone to tamper with or alter in any way. This piece of footage caused quite a stir amongst both the scientific and conspiracy theory communities. Taken on August 6, 1997, this hefty flying object was filmed flying over Mexico City. The community has divided almost in half on whether the footage is real or fake. Some say there are dubious digital artifacts hidden in the still frames of the clip. Others have noted that back in 1997 there were no programs available to the public powerful enough to fake this footage. Other perplexing evidence is the 12 or so witnesses from across the city that reported seeing the craft flying through the air. What do you think, real or fake? If you've got any information on this clip, leave a comment below. June 2016 in Menangle, New South Wales, Australia, up to 8 strange glowing objects were filmed flying through the sky. The footage shows these craft steadily moving to the left of screen. Then a darker, more solid looking object can be seen hovering in the sky. 2 of the glowing balls previously seen seem to fly into this hovering object. Bonus time! We're giving away 3 Slapped Ham t-shirts to some lucky viewers. To enter, all you have to do is follow us on Twitter and retweet this tweet. We're only running this competition for a few days, so get in quick. Remember, you must be following us and retweet the tweet to enter the draw. Hurry, do it now or you'll miss out on a chance to win a wicked Slapped Ham tee. A link is in the description box below. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's a UFO coming down to probe our anuses. As always, thanks heaps for watching. If you're enjoying the content, hit that thumbs up button. Remember to share this video around with your friends and family. And this is a Slap Ham Shrink.
How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about a ghostly Mexico. From the Mapimi Silent Zone to the notorious Majango Murder House. Join us as we take a look at the 10 most haunted places in Mexico.
The House of Laments was the home of Tadio Mejia, a serial killer who committed a series of grisly murders in an attempt to contact his deceased wife. In the late 1800s, Mejia's wife Costanza was murdered during a home invasion. Some sources claim the murderers were miners who worked under Mejia and believed he was embezzling from their salaries. Distraught after his wife's death, Mejia consulted a witch who instructed him in occult rituals that would allow him to contact his wife, but would require human sacrifices. Mejia would eventually kill himself and, although satanic imagery and skeletons were found in his basement, to this day it's unknown exactly how many murders he committed. Today, the House of Laments operates as a museum dedicated to Mejia's blood-soaked story. It features imagery of Mejia and his wife, as well as artifacts related to the couple and Mejia's killing spree. Visitors report mysterious sounds and wails, as well as apparitions wandering the grounds. Subway systems always seem to attract ghost stories. Maybe it's the dark tunnels or the crowds, maybe it's the reputation as a common place for suicides. Whatever the reasons, Mexico City's metro system is no exception to this rule. First opened to the public in 1969, the metro is host to a wide range of ghost stories and paranormal activity, ranging from ancient Aztec ghosts to murdered commuters and ghost trains. Pino Suarez Station is known for the ghost of Victor Platinoff, a Metro employee who died in 1989, as well as an ancient Aztec man who weeps about the Spanish conquest. Visitors to Panteones Station, a subway stop constructed near 2 graveyards, may experience mysterious knocks on the tunnel walls or see ephemeral shapes that disappear when they come close. A ghost train allegedly runs from Allende to Zocalo Station, through Viaducto Station, the site of a horrific 1975 crash that killed at least 31 passengers. Opened in Mexico City in 1847, Hospital Juarez is an active medical center known for sightings of La Planchada, the Ironed Lady, a ghostly nurse from the mid-1900s who appears in a perfectly pressed nurse's uniform. Descriptions of the nurse vary. Some report seeing a glowing and floating figure, while others describe a normal-looking nurse. In all cases, she is known for treating patients in the hospital's emergency section and bringing about miraculous recoveries. Much like her appearance, the legend surrounding La Planchada's origin changes with the storyteller. Some say she was a nurse in love with a doctor who rejected her and drove her to suicide. Others claim she euthanized patients in order to relieve their pain. Whatever her origins, La Planchada is known as a benevolent spirit, and there isn't a patient in Hospital Juarez who wouldn't be happy to see her. Also known as La Zona del Silencio and the Sea of Thetis, the Mapimi Silent Zone is a stretch of desert in Durango, Mexico with an enigmatic reputation. Similar to the Bermuda Triangle, the Silent Zone is known for strange phenomena, including radio malfunctions, mutated wildlife, meteor impacts, and reports of extraterrestrial activity. The alien visitors are described as tall and blonde-haired. When encountered, they supposedly ask for water in flawless Spanish, then disappear without a trace. The Silent Zone is also a hotbed of UFO activity, with reports of flying figures, fireballs, and spheres of glowing light. The zone earned its name in the 1960s when oil company Pemex funded a scouting expedition. The oil company's team experienced constant radio problems and equipment malfunctions, leading them to dub the area the Zone of Silence. It remained a curiosity until January 1970, when a United States rocket crashed in the zone, and famed rocket scientist Wernher von Braun led the extensive recovery efforts. This incident stoked interest in the Mapimi Silent Zone and led the Mexican government to establish the Mapimi Biosphere Reserve around it. More than 50 years ago, Don Julian Santana Barrera left his wife and child and relocated to the solitude of Chinampa, known as the Floating Garden, in the canals of Xochimilco, Mexico City. Barrera was known as a loner, so this floating island, an hour from the nearest pier, must have been paradise for him. Shortly after taking residence on the island, Barrera found the corpse of a little girl who drowned in the canal along with a child's doll. He hung the doll from a tree nearby as a memorial for the girl, but began to be haunted by whispers, wails and footsteps in the night, despite the fact that he was the only one on the isolated island. He believed these haunting phenomena to be the work of the drowned girl's spirit. In an effort to appease her, he began hanging dolls all around Chinampa. He would continue hanging these dolls for over 50 years until he died in 2001. He drowned, reportedly in the same spot he found the little girl. Hundreds of dolls still hang in the trees of Chinampa today. Hidden in the forests of Mexico City's massive Chapultepec Park is an enormous white mansion known as Aunt Tonya's house. Little is known about Tonya's life today, but in some way she came to live alone in the massive house. Rumour has it that she hid an enormous fortune within the mansion, but she was so reclusive that no one's had an opportunity to investigate. As she aged and grew lonely, Tonya began fostering homeless children in her home. Although the locals appreciated her actions, the children were rowdy and cruel to the kindly old woman. This is where the stories diverge. Some tellings say she murdered the children in a fit of rage. Others say the children murdered her while trying to discover the hidden treasure. Whatever the story, Aunt Tonya's house is known today to be very haunted. It can only be reached by crossing a dilapidated wooden bridge in the third section of Chapultepec Park. The house is always shrouded in fog, and legend has it that Aunt Tonya and the children can be seen and heard wandering the grounds. In March of 2008, 20 students died by falling off a cliff near the mansion. The house is difficult to reach today. The third section of Chapultepec is home to packs of feral dogs, and the mansion has come under new ownership. La Posada del Sol is an ornate hotel in the heart of Mexico City. Designed by architect Fernando Saldaña Galvan, Posada del Sol represented the culmination of his life's work. Galvan poured his blood, sweat and tears into the structure, including gardens, patios, fountains, terraces and over 600 suites, as well as a ballroom, Turkish bath and even a human-sized chessboard. Although Galvan was a gifted architect, construction of the hotel ground to a halt as his debts grew and his funding shrank. Some say Galvan was driven to insanity and murdered his family. Others claim the project was a front for satanic rituals. One terrifying room holds a strange altar many associate with a little girl who was found dead in the hotel's basement. Although no one knows exactly what caused Galvan's failure, it's known that he flung himself off the roof into the hotel's yard. The hotel sits abandoned and cordoned off today. Although this frustrates would-be explorers, perhaps it spares them the curse of Fernando Saldaña Galvan. Panteon de Belen, also known as Santa Paula Cemetery, is a closed cemetery in Guadalajara that has been the site of dozens of folk tales and hundreds of ghost sightings. Perhaps the most famous of these is the vampire tree. Legend has it a vampire terrorized the citizens of Guadalajara until he was caught, impaled with a wooden stake and buried. A tree grew from his grave. It can be seen today towering over the other graves. It is said you can see the faces of the vampire's victims in the bark at night, and if you break off a branch, the tree will drip blood instead of sap. Some even believe that when the tree dies, the vampire will rise again to terrorize the city. The tree is protected by a government-installed fence today. Whether this is to protect the tree from vandals or protect the citizens from a resurrected vampire remains unclear. The ancient Mayan city of Chichen Itza is a well-known UNESCO World Heritage Site that was one of the largest Mayan cities. Aside from its cultural importance, Chichen Itza is known to paranormal enthusiasts as one of the most haunted places in Mexico. Chichen Itza was the site of mass human sacrifices whose ghosts wander the ruins today. Visiting tourists often report seeing ghostly humanoid figures around the old observatory. Chichen Itza is also a hotspot for Alax sightings. Alaxes are spirits that take the form of child-sized Mayans and are associated with natural features like caves and forests. Much like European fairies, they're known for theft and trickery, but also for bestowing gifts on those who show them proper respect. If you encounter a small, mysterious person in traditional Mayan clothing in Chichen Itza, be sure to mind your manners. If you visit the Mexican state of Querétaro, you might see a small boarded-up house, surrounded by a wall topped with barbed wire. The locals will tell you about screams and sobs that come from the house, and if you watch closely, you might see a small child pop up in the window. This is the home of Claudia Majangos, the hyena of Querétaro. Claudia was a college-educated former beauty queen with a husband, 3 children, and a sizable inheritance after the death of her parents. She taught catechism at her children's Catholic school and opened a fashion shop downtown. Although she and her husband were experiencing marital problems and Claudia was subject to occasional hallucinations, no one suspected what would come next. In April of 1989, Claudia woke up in the middle of the night hearing voices in her head. Following the voices' instructions, she went to the kitchen, retrieved 3 knives and proceeded to attack her own children. She cut off her youngest child's hand, stabbed her eldest daughter 6 times, and stabbed her 9-year-old daughter in the heart. Afterwards, she piled the bodies in the master bedroom and attempted to kill herself. Claudia woke up in the hospital 3 days later and claimed not to remember anything. Doctors diagnosed her with schizoaffective disorder and epilepsy. These mitigating health issues allowed her to receive the minimum sentence for her crimes, just 30 years in prison. Some reject the doctor's theory and maintain that she was possessed by demons. An inmate at her prison claimed to hear her conversing with demonic male voices when in solitary confinement. Whether Claudia's actions were the result of possession, schizophrenia, or something else entirely, her former home has become the site of satanic rituals and is a mecca for paranormal researchers.
Fresh pandaloonies, please. I may have just soiled myself. As always, thanks heaps for watching. If you're enjoying our content, hit that thumbs up button. If you're new, then why not hit subscribe and turn on channel notifications. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about some truly terrifying fictional monsters. And to help us out with this list, we've teamed up with Crypt TV. They're an awesome production company that create high quality scary films for their YouTube channel. They release videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Friday. I highly recommend you check them out. We'll have more about their channel a little later in this video, but without further ado, let's get into this list.
The Thing in the Apartment is a scary short film written and directed by John William Ross for Crypt TV. The story begins with an abrupt phone call from a girl, Lindsay, who claims something visited her in her apartment. She says that a creature appeared out of nowhere right in her room. Her friend Sam must rescue her and confront the thing that's lurking in her apartment. A key plot device used in this film is Lindsay's use of sleeping pills. It makes both Sam and the viewer question whether the monster is real, smudging the lines of reality. This makes for some great tension and jump scares as the true nature of the thing in the apartment unfolds. This is a riveting short film that'll have you questioning every little creak and bump you hear in your dark, empty house. Kinderfanger is a Pied Piper-esque tale about a monster that recruits children to do his bidding. The story begins with a young deaf girl and her family who are searching for their missing brother and son. They search a remote mountainous area hoping to find clues. Soon the young girl wanders off to explore a dark cavernous underpass. Here she happens upon the Kinderfanger performing a ritual, entrancing a number of children including her brother. The Kinderfanger is a black skeletal figure that floats about in a puff of smoke. He uses a pipe to play music that spellbinds the children. Our protagonist, however, is immune to the musical curse and moves in to help save her brother. If you're looking for something spooky to watch, then this short film is hard to pass up. It's a fresh take on an old tale seething with mystery and adventure. Oh, and the twist at the end is a real killer. Mordio is an experimental ultra-short film that raises more questions than it cares to answer. The clip begins with a cannibal deep in the woods feasting on the organs of another man. His meal is interrupted by the sound of a twig snapping behind him. He turns to see a scary monster watching him from afar. Bizarrely, the corpse on the ground begins to talk. He speaks of an entity known as Mordio, a strange creature that claims ownership of anyone that eats flesh in the enchanted woods. The cannibal begins to transform into a grotesque monster with antlers. He howls and feasts on the corpse, preparing for something known as the blood hunt. This doozy of a short film will leave you confused and on edge, something all great horror movies should do. I would suggest perhaps watching this one with a friend. One Please is a quirky arthouse style short film that introduces a truly chilling new monster, the Ice Cream Man. This unnerving 5-minute story depicts life in a dystopian suburban town. On the surface, everything appears normal. The sun is shining, mum's making dinner, dad's reading the paper. However, when you notice that some people are missing fingers, questions start getting raised. Suddenly, when a mysterious ice cream truck visits the town, things get even stranger. It would appear to get an ice cream you need to pay with more than just money. And we'll leave this one here as I don't want to ruin the shocking twist this little gem has to offer. I highly recommend watching this one all alone at 2 AM in a very dark room. The Sunny Family Cult is a series of short films produced by Cryptids. They follow protagonist Taylor, the young daughter of a leader of an infamous sect known as the Sunny Family Cult. The cult, known for their unsettling masks, are hell-bent on disrupting the banality of suburban life. They've taken it upon themselves to outlay their own brand of justice on society, which means they'll murder pretty much anyone that's not part of their group. The most interesting thread in this series is the impact cult life has on Taylor. She grows increasingly violent as she strives to impress her murderous father, who has forcefully impressed this strange way of life on her. However, her character begins to question the seemingly random acts of violence and secretly yearns for a different way of life. The Sunny Family Cult is a strange and twisted ride. It's a brutal tale that hits a chilling vein when you think about some of the bloodshed caused by real cults throughout history. It just goes to show you don't need to be inhuman to be a monster. Mirror Mirror takes a disconcerting look at narcissism and what it means to be self-obsessed in a digital world. The plot follows a young, self-absorbed girl who would rather take selfies than spend some time with her boyfriend. After a few posts to social media, things take a dark turn. As the girl preens herself in front of the mirror, her skin begins to change. It grows pale and a strange wound appears on her forehead. Suddenly, her reflection reaches out and pulls her into a dark mirror world. It's from here that the girl can see out into the real world. In her place is a mutilated, corpse-like monster that mimics putting on lipstick. The girl's boyfriend reacts to the noise and comes to see what's happened. From here, the creepy monster sets a trap that leads to a terrifying ending. Next time you're doing your hair in the mirror, think of this little gem and what it would be like being pulled into an alternate universe by a hacked-up corpse demon. If you yourself cannot release, then it will come to take a piece, is the chilling calling card of the Look-See, a scary monster dreamt up in the dark offices of Crypt TV. Written and directed by Landon Starmer, The Look-See is a terrifying series of short films about letting go. This eerie, well-dressed creature seems to feed on those who are dwelling on something, whether it's the loss of a loved one, obsessing over another person, or the raw memories of an ex-husband. Whatever it is, The Look-See thrives on it. The pacing and editing are what stand out with these movies. They capitalise on the fear of the unknown, taking every opportunity to spring a jump scare on the viewer whenever they can. The quick cuts and edgy sound design make for a delightfully unsettling experience. Make sure you check under your bed before watching this one. This is a very creepy short film that's best watched late at night. The Birch is a Webby Award-winning short film from Crypt TV and Bloody Cuts. It's about a bullied boy who resorts to an ancient ritual to defend himself. The result is a monster that blurs the lines between protection and danger. The tension starts high as the first shot of the film shows an unnerving, blood-covered boy with a knife. This shocking opener sets the tone for the entire film, which never quite lets you get comfortable. The Birch is an ancient being that fiercely protects the family it's loyal to. It has a violent propensity for bloodlust and will stop at nothing to satisfy its conjurer. Co-written and directed by Ben Franklin and Anthony Melton, The Birch has been seen by millions of viewers. When it was first uploaded to YouTube in mid-2017, audiences couldn't get enough of this terrifying creature. The character modelling is first class. The special effects makeup and character creation were brought to life by Cliff Wallace, best known for his work on Hellboy 2 and 28 Days Later. The editing and sound design are fantastic too. A series of mixed vignettes lead to the climax of the film that is strangely satisfying yet completely unnerving at the same time. The hellish facial expression of the monster right at the end is bound to stay with you for a while.
Now I want to give a huge shout out to Crypt TV for helping out with this list. As I mentioned at the start of the video, they produce high quality scary content each and every week. They release videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Fridays. I highly recommend you jump on over and check out their channel. There's some links in the description box below and a link should appear right here. Head on over, show them some love, subscribe if you like what you see as well. Oh, and one more thing I should mention. The hell was that? How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about the most terrifyingly haunted places in Canada. From the Whooping Woods to the ghost of a boy who drowned in a high school swimming pool. We count 10 of the most haunted places in Canada.
Deep in a forest in central New Brunswick, Canada, the ghost of a murdered logger reportedly cries out in the night. The story follows a man known as Ryan who worked as a cook at a logging camp in the Dungarvan Woods in Blackville. One day he was left alone with the boss of the camp as the other loggers all went out into the forest. When the loggers returned, they discovered that Ryan had been murdered, the boss claiming he suddenly became ill and died. They buried him nearby, and that night screams and loud whooping noises echoed through the camp. The noises continued through the next day and the camp was ultimately abandoned. Years later, when a different group of loggers wanted to use the camp, they started hearing the same noises. Eventually, a priest was brought in to put Ryan's spirit to rest. Here accounts differ. Some reports say the screams stopped and the priest was successful. But others say when the skeleton was unearthed and the priest began his work, the screams only got louder and the priest ran away. Screams and whoops are still reported to be heard in the forest today. Seal Island is located off the coast of Nova Scotia and is haunted by a woman named Annie Lindsay. Lindsay was a stewardess aboard the SS Ottawa, which was shipwrecked near Seal Island. She drowned in the lifeboat while trying to reach safety. Several days later, she was buried on the island. Her ghost has been seen many times wandering on the island. Her spirit stands on the shore looking ominously out to sea before vanishing. Reportedly, when her grave was disinterred, there was evidence that she had been buried alive. In June 1813, the ship Young Teaser sank in Mahone Bay. While being chased by British warships, it's thought that a crew member deliberately blew up the hull, setting the ship aflame. The crew was forced to abandon ship, leaving it to sink in the bay. As many as 30 crew members died from the accident. The survivors were badly burnt and clinging to debris when they were rescued by people from the local village. For years there have been many sightings of the ship re-sinking, the event referred to as Teaser's Light. Sightings increase in their frequency around the anniversary of the ship's tragic accident. Montreal has numerous haunted locations, the most famous being the Auberge Le Saint Gabriel Inn. Built in 1754, the inn is the oldest in North America. In the early 19th century, the building caught fire. Tragically, a young girl was trapped in one of the burning rooms and lost her life. Since that fateful day, she's been seen by many people throughout the years. Guests often report seeing her down the end of the auberge's long dark hallways. She stares at them, then disappears eerily through the wall. The Fairmont Empress Hotel, located on Vancouver Island, is notorious for its ghosts. It was named one of the world's most famous hotels by Reader's Digest. There are reports that the architect of the hotel, Francis Rattenbury, still wanders around the hotel, his spirit eternally attached to the property. Then there's the ghost of Lizzie McGrath, a chambermaid who tragically fell to her death. One day, while cleaning one of the rooms, she attempted to step out onto the fire escape, but instead plummeted several stories to the ground below. Unknown to her, the fire escape had been removed for construction and repairs. Now some guests say they've heard terrible screams outside their windows. And probably the most unsettling of all, an unnamed elderly woman is said to knock on people's doors. She urgently leads guests to the elevator where she disappears into thin air. The Fairmont Banff Springs is a castle surrounded by the Canadian Rockies mountain range. It's known for several notorious ghost sightings. In the 1920s, a young bride-to-be was staying at the property. One afternoon, she was descending a staircase in her wedding dress when she was startled. She tripped and fell to her death. Since then, staff and guests have reportedly seen her around the halls, on the staircase, and even in the ballroom. Some say she stands expectantly in her pristine white dress, waiting for her wedding day that will never come. The new Westminster Secondary School is haunted by several ghosts, mostly by former students. In the 1970s, a boy drowned in the school pool. Since then, several security guards have reported seeing the corpse of a boy floating in the water. Whenever anyone tries to rescue the boy, his body vanishes into the waters below. Then there's the ghost of a boy who died in the woodwork shop in the mid-1980s. Allegedly, there is security footage of a young boy wandering the room during the middle of the night. The Tranquil Sanatorium was built in British Columbia in 1907. Until 1958, the facility was used to treat people with tuberculosis. However, the facility closed that year. Around a year later, it was reopened as a mental health facility. It closed again 30 years later and was bought by a dairy company. After realizing that the sanatorium was haunted, they started hosting excursions of the property. During the tours, past patients have been seen wandering the halls, strange whispers have been heard, and there's even been several reports of glowing orbs throughout the building and grounds. The Craigdarroch Castle was built in British Columbia in the last half of the 19th century by a Scottish immigrant. He and his wife had a large family of 10 children. There are many reported sightings of ghosts in the castle. Crying children can be inexplicably heard, as well as spectral music playing throughout the halls. Visitors have reported whispering voices coming from seemingly nowhere as they wander the castle. Ghostly infants have been seen disappearing in the castle, as well as the spirit of a little girl and a woman in a white dress. In 1879, at 242 William Street, Montreal, Canada, Susan Kennedy went on a murderous rampage. After a fit of jealousy, she killed several people, including close friend Mary Gallagher. Since that tragic day, there have been several ghost sightings throughout the building. It is said that the spirit of Mary Gallagher wanders the halls of this old property. Every 7 years, her decapitated body appears stumbling about looking for its head.
Well, there's another episode down. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, why not hit that subscribe button right there or the red one down below. Remember to give us an upward facing thumb if you enjoyed the content. Leave us a comment down below as well. We love reading them. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time.